You have found what lights you up. I'm your host, Sunny the Life Coach, and I'm here because I see you searching for something or someone out there to help you feel better. Something to take away the pain that you're feeling, the inadequacies. I know all of the things that happen in life can leave you feeling empty. Your search is over. This podcast is all about finding your own freedom and power to love yourself enough to shine in the ways you were always meant to, the ways in which you are already fully capable of. If you're ready for some real talk, some serious truth bombs, and a few F-bombs, you are in the right place. Let's do this. Let's get lit. Hey there, and welcome to episode 19. I had such an amazing little Zoom power hour yesterday with my tribe. We went through coach certification together. The program puts us in groups of 10, and 9 of us have just clicked. There's always that one, right? We all, though, have so many diverse backgrounds, different religions, beliefs, customs, and communities. But this one commonality, we want to bring more light into the world. We want to help others to find their way out of the darkness, and that's the bond. That's the glue. It's the most beautiful experience to know these women. We formed this tribe through the certification process. So yes, we are a tribe of badass coaches. Some of you all are just finding out about the Marco Polo app during the pandemic, but one of our members introduced it long before. And quite honestly, that has really helped us to solidify our connection. Because yes, while we were also using Zoom before, it's not always easy to get everyone together. I mean, even today, it's very difficult to do that with everyone's schedules. So sending video messages when we can and checking in when it works is just magic. And we all got to meet each other in person in March. Everyone except our friend in Norway. She knew she wouldn't be able to make the trip, and we did miss her terribly. I may have shared this earlier, but I'm basking in great memories today, so bear with me. It was just before all of the closures happened, literally at the same time. Most of us, so the 8 of us, met up in Dallas. We rented an Airbnb and just experienced the absolute joy of being together for a couple of days. We were there for a conference that didn't happen. One that was canceled at the last minute because the state was just starting to shut down. So we were buying food for the house and wondering why there was no water or toilet paper at the store and why it was so packed on a Thursday afternoon. Because we weren't checking our phones. We weren't watching the news. We were just being, while an order had just been issued for large gatherings, which we found out later. The conference being canceled was nothing but a thing. Everyone had traveled. Well, everyone but me. I mean, how lucky am I? Everyone had traveled, and our event being canceled was all good because we became the event. Having seen one another only on screens up to that point, it was just such a gift to be together. Most of us were able to connect for a Zoom chat yesterday, and it was everything. I swear, I got emotional. I'm told that this is unusual, this bond that we have. And I've talked with other coaches certified through the same school who confirm. No, I haven't even spoken to the others I trained with, much less bonded with them. I couldn't even tell you what they're up to. So this was meant to be. We were meant to meet each other, first virtually, then in real life, to walk this path together and to click like we have. in this moment, at this time, embracing one another just days before we were told embracing is no longer allowed. The energy is just beyond what I can describe. It's been a force of support and love, and I am eternally grateful to be a member of this tribe, to have this experience. It's love and compassion and non-judgment, and all of the things I'm always saying are where the answers truly lie, and mostly love. Sometimes we find it so much easier to give those things to others, so we can't even see the darkness inside of ourselves. As long as we are projecting outward, we don't have to take a look inside. I've also learned that there is a strange comfort in the shadows because we know them well. I believe this comes from our domestication in this world. We certainly were not born this way. We were born 100% worthy, full of love and light, wonder and curiosity, all kinds of awareness, taking in every detail of our surroundings and figuring out how this life is all supposed to work, how our bodies are supposed to work, how to walk, how to talk, then how to really communicate, how to feel all of our feelings. We knew all of these things when we were babies, and we found joy in the simplest things. Shiny objects, music, colors. Babies are amazing, yeah? Remember that you were one once. But we forget. We forget to be amazed at the world around us, and most certainly with ourselves, because the shadows start to appear. As we are taking in our surroundings, we start to learn that there are expectations for who we should be from our parents, other family members, our friends, our school systems, society as a whole. All of these things slowly start to chip away at our very essence, and we are left questioning, but no longer from a place of curiosity. No, we are now questioning from a place of judgment. We become critics. All of us do this, but especially girls, and yes, I blame our society for this. I should be thinner. I should be prettier. I should be more talented. I should know better. I should be better. I should. Falling lockstep into that domestication, and you start to slip into those shadows. Now, highly spiritual beings aren't afraid of shadow work, and that's what they call it. It's work in the shadows. It's not wallowing around in the muck of it. It's work. It's the deep exploration. What's going on here? Why am I here? And they'll be in no rush to get out of it because they know there's a reason, there's a higher purpose, there's something of yourself to find in that darkness. But the rest of us, we just wallow. It's not that we love being in the shadows, but there's something comfortable in the sinking. It's hard to explain unless you've been there. That's why I want to talk about this today. I think there are a lot of you listening that know exactly what I'm talking about. And some of you might be thinking I've gone into the land of woo, and that's quite all right. You can think what you want, as if you need my permission to think. You certainly do not. I'm talking about self-loathing, my friends. When you get into the depths of the muck, and that's what you find there, you come to the realization that you don't even like yourself, not even a little bit. And it is a soul-crushing realization. Now what? What the fuck am I supposed to do with this awareness? I'll tell you what a lot of us do. I'll tell you what I've done. Run. Freaking run. Which makes perfect sense because our basic instinct is to avoid pain. This is a deep emotional pain, self-loathing, one of the most difficult ones of all to see in yourself. One of the things that we are taught as coaches in processing feelings, in facing emotions, especially those that we see as dark and ugly, is to describe the sensation in your body, because every emotion has a corresponding sensation. How would you describe self-loathing? How would you? And there's no wrong answer, by the way. It's your experience. Everyone has their own experience. You should know that by now. For me, it does feel very dark. The color is very dark. Maybe not black, but a very deep purple. And heavy, weighty in my gut, in my throat. I could almost choke on it. And that sensation kind of moves in waves from my gut to my throat, not in a rhythmic or eloquent motion like actual waves do, more like a blob that sits in one place and then waves itself to the other. That's how I would describe it. And that's how you describe an emotion. You find the sensations in your body that correspond with it. Really get in tune with that and recognize it. This is not the fun part of feeling your feelings, but it's necessary. Have you ever hated yourself so much you could just scream? It's because you're trying to release this sensation, trying to make it go away, when what you really need to do is to sit with it, invite it in, have a damn conversation. That sounds completely crazy. I know. I would have thought so too a few years ago, but you know what? This is what works. And let me assure you that I have tried all of the things. I've tried ignoring it. I've tried wishing it away. I've tried screaming. I've tried therapy. I've tried drugs, both prescription and recreation. I have tried drowning in alcohol. I have tried changing my circumstances. I have tried shifting relationships. I have tried changing myself in the hopes that others would like me more. I have curled up in a cocoon for days in my bed trying to sleep it away, hoping all of that weighty ugliness will be gone when I wake up. I have tried all of the things. About the only thing I haven't tried is cutting or other forms of inflicting physical pain on myself. It's not something that ever seemed like it would work for me. I never even considered it. But I certainly have an understanding of why some choose that route. It's an attempt to release emotional pain. That much I understand. It really is a shame that I spent decades in that place. I look back at pictures of my younger self and I just think, oh, look at you. So very lovely, yet so very tortured inside. Not really enjoying the experience of life because you don't enjoy yourself, your authentic self. These thoughts are only fleeting though, because I know there is no rewind button. There are no do-overs. I can't look back at my past and wish that things had been different. That's not a useful exercise. That is not what I'm here to talk about today. What I can do is acknowledge and appreciate that all of my past struggles led me here. the road that I took, while a very winding one, full of detours and drama and heartache and the visceral pain of self-loathing, is the one that I needed to take in order to find the contentment that I feel now. In order to know what I know and meet the people that I've met and experience a completely new way to live. Had I not visited those shadows, I may not have been able to find my light. I'd like to take a moment to introduce you to Byron Katie if you aren't already aware of her. She simply goes by Katie. If you've never heard of her, look her up. This woman is amazing. But she wasn't always. In the 1980s, Katie was a woman living an ordinary life from the outside looking in. She had a successful career, married with children. Still, for 2 years, she was so depressed she could barely leave the house and spent weeks at a time in bed. 2 years with that experience. Finally, she broke down and sought treatment, anything she could find, because she felt that desperate. She checked herself into a halfway house for women with eating disorders because that's what her insurance would cover. And then she ended up in isolation because all of the other residents were afraid of her. She didn't even feel worthy enough to sleep in a bed, so she slept on the floor. And one morning, that floor is where she woke up. I mean, really woke. Here's what she later wrote about that moment. Not an aha moment, mind you, a real life awakening. Katie wrote, "All my rage, all the thoughts that had been troubling me, my whole world, the whole world was gone. At the same time, laughter welled up from the depths and just poured out. Everything was unrecognizable. It was as if something else had woken up. It opened its eyes. It was looking through Katie's eyes, and it was so delighted. It was intoxicated with joy. There was nothing separate, nothing unacceptable to it. Everything was its very own self." Now, she is world-renowned for not only her awakening, this major change in finding love in the darkest of places. She's written several books about the revolutionary process that was born from this. It's simply called The Work. And the work is 4 questions that you ask yourself for any problem. And as Katie says, it's not the problem that causes our suffering, it's our thinking about the problem. Katie teaches that trying to let go of a painful thought never works. Instead, once we have done the work, the thought lets go of us. Then we can truly love what is, just as it is. Sound familiar? Yes, the teachings of Byron Katie have largely influenced the coaching community that I'm a part of, that my tribe is a part of. The work, this work, is such a gift. The knowing of it is truly life-changing. Oh, and I'm sure you want to know the questions. They are Googleable, but I will include them here because I'm cool like that. The 4 questions that encompass the work of Byron Katie are quite simple. Number 1, is it true? And that is a yes or no question, plain and simple. If it's no, skip number 2. Is it true? Number 2, can you absolutely know it to be true? Also, yes or no. Can you absolutely know it? Yes or no. Number 3, how do you react? What happens when you believe that thought? Number 4, who would you be without the thought? And then turn the thought around, and there's a process for that I'm not going to get into today. I'm not going to get into the turning around on this episode, but it's a good reminder for me that it's something to be discussed in the near future. For now, I just want you to focus on the simplicity of those 4 questions, and especially the first 2. Is it true? Can you absolutely know it to be true? Because sometimes that's all we need to ask to uncover a sinister thought like, I'm not worthy, I'm not enough. The first time you ask yourself, because you're living in your movie and all of those thoughts seem so real, you may answer yes. Yes, it's true that I'm not worthy and I'm not enough. But then challenging that with, can you absolutely know it to be true, is the trick. That's where the rubber meets the road. Would a jury of your peers agree? Forget all of the evidence that you can come up with in the reality that you know and in what seems real to you. Can you absolutely know it to be true? And how do you act when you believe that thought is a brilliant question by simply incorporating the word thought. It immediately grounds you to the truth. You're simply having thoughts. You're not going to want to go there, where there is all of the darkness you've been trying to hide from, because it's going to be ugly and it's going to be painful. But on the other side of pain is freedom. Freedom of whatever prison you've created for yourself, and knowing that you are worthy. You are loved. You are amazing and wonderful and full of light. Now, I'd love to tell you that I had a wake up on the floor moment, but I can't really pinpoint it like a seismic shift that Katie felt. It's just been a slow smolder for me, I think. It took some time for the fire to light, but once you've been lit, sweet relief. And that doesn't mean that I don't still have moments. Knowing doesn't mean you'll never again feel pain or never again see darkness. For me, knowing simply means that I don't have to stay there for long. I can coach myself out of it. I can talk to myself. I can differentiate between what my brain thinks is reality and what are simply thoughts that are being offered up. I don't have to spend a lot of time on the self-critical ones anymore. I'm not afraid of the dark shadows. If they present themselves, I know there must be some work to do there. I feel like I say this a lot, and also that I can't say it enough. Just because you crawl out of that hole doesn't mean your life is always going to be filled with rainbows and butterflies and sunshine. Yet I will reiterate that my time spent in the muck was necessary. No mud, no lotus. Now I get to help others to see this too. That is a gift. My experience with the dark nights of the soul is a gift. So when you find this part of yourself, when you have this realization that you hate yourself, your first inclination is going to be to either beat yourself up for having those thoughts or to run, to avoid it entirely. That's going to be your instinct because you're afraid of what else you might find. Here's where you allow love to enter this journey. Here's where you remember that you were born worthy. And if you need to visualize yourself as a perfect little baby, then do that. Because you were a baby at one time. If it feels like that's the last time you were perfect, do what you need to do in order to generate some love for yourself. You're going to need it. That's going to help you. Fear and love cannot live in the same space. Fear cannot thrive where love exists. Love is stronger than fear every time. And always, always question your thoughts. As my dear friend Christine Rizzo and fellow tribe member says, if it's not coming from love, it's a fucking lie. I love that because you can even incorporate that into those first two questions. Is it true and coming from love? Can I absolutely know it to be true and coming from love? If not, it's a fucking lie. Not every thought that your brain sends is valid. Question the hell out of them. Because I pulled one of Byron Katie's books to help inspire this episode today, I'm going to share a quote that is contained in the title, Loving What Is. And this quote is from Baruch Spinoza. The more clearly you understand yourself and your emotions, the more you become a lover of what is. Be willing to love what is, and that starts within. When you can find that, everything else falls into place in time. I'm telling you, that is true. And yes, I absolutely know it to be true. I'm still a little high off the time with my tribe yesterday. I took a photo of our Zoom session and posted it. Girls, if you haven't seen it, go tag yourselves if you want to. I swear I tried to use the most flattering image I could. Anyway, I posted it with the words, get yourself a tribe. But that's not even how it works, and I know that. Your tribe finds you. We find each other. Just as you're listening to this today, wherever and whenever you are, our journeys intersected because that's how it was supposed to happen. And that is the kind of greatness that awaits you when you find your light. Sending you all of the love and virtual hugs. You are worthy, and you have everything you need to light the fuck up. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please take just a moment to leave me a review on Apple Podcasts so that others can find it too. Light up, shine on.